Welcome to week 12 of the NFL season. A lot of games early this week. You got three on Thanksgiving. I'm going to try to remember Lions, Packers, Commanders, Cowboys, 49ers, Seahawks. And then you probably heard about the Friday game because they keep promoting it. Black Friday football, apparently. Somebody asked for it. I don't know who did, but we will have it. Dolphins versus the Jets. A lot of one-sided games, but you never know in the NFL. You can't be that easy to predict the game. That's why we're here, Compas on the beat, to give you a full breakdown of the entire Week 12 NFL slate. And first, an introduction. I'm Gilberto Manzano, Sports Illustrated NFL staff writer, co-host and co-founder of Compas on the beat. And the voice you're about to hear right now, Vic, the producer, Victor Javier Corona, newlywed, just got married. I'm gonna keep saying that, Victor. You just got married. You're still in Oklahoma. Congrats to you. I'm gonna say congrats on every single show that we do together this week. How you doing?
Yeah, thank you for that. We're about, what is it, 5 days since being married. So happy. I'm still in Oklahoma. I'm in Veneta, Oklahoma. It's freaking cold over here. I can't wait to get home in a couple of days. But happy to be here, Gilbert. Happy to break down week 12. I know we're a little early, but it's because of the Thanksgiving weekend. But I'm so glad to be talking football. I had a whole week to prepare for this wedding, and it was the most joyous day of my life. But I'm so ready to get back to normal and talk some football with you.
Yeah, you might have missed us a week ago for the Looking Ahead show to preview Week 11. You probably wait on Thursday after Thursday Night Football, that horrific game, Bengals and the Ravens, after a bunch of injuries, and we weren't around, but we have a good excuse. It was for Victor's wedding, and I could probably spend the whole podcast sharing stories about me being in Oklahoma. I found out about Will Rogers. Will Rogers is really well known in Oklahoma. I did not know who he was, but he has a freeway, a hotel, a couple schools. He's a very famous, actor back in the 50s, and he was well known for Route 66. So I did a whole deep dive, Victor, on Will Rogers because the name kept popping up. But yes, we are here to break down Week 12. And before you answer that Will Rogers reference, Victor, quick reminder: if you're watching this live, don't be shy. Drop a comment, NFL related, football related, maybe Oklahoma related, Will Rogers related. But leave a comment on the live. But if you can't be here live, and I get it, it's also a tough week because you're maybe driving and the Carmageddon. I am tired of seeing that video, Victor, of the look at all the traffic on the 405. That's every single day. Stop showing me that every Thanksgiving. You might be on traffic. So maybe when you get home, watch a YouTube, leave a comment. We'll always get back to your comments, especially the good ones. Right now, we have a lot of content on the Compas on the Beat channel. Some people are fighting about our rapid fire this week about who won the trade. We're talking about the trade again, Russell Wilson and the Seahawks, because Broncos 4 games in a row that they've won. Seahawks not doing so well with Geno Smith. So yeah, give me a take or two if you want on the live or the replay.
Yeah, and going back to Will Rogers, Gilbert, he's well known over there in LA as well. He's got right off of PCH. There's a couple of things named after him, so there is a connection between
Yeah.
LA and
It
Oklahoma.
took me to
So
get to Oklahoma to figure out who he is or was.
yeah,
And yeah, you're right. He was big time in the Hollywood era.
yeah, and if you drive down Palisades on Sunset, you'll see his name all over it as you get to PCH on whether it's on Sunset or on the one freeway there. But in terms of the traffic, this is why I'm still in Oklahoma. We said we are not driving, or we're not driving out there 3 days before Thanksgiving. And so if you're out there right now, good luck to you. If you're running around, your last minute shopping, trying to get, all the stuff, ready for Thanksgiving, you are, you are the MVP because, man, I would not want to be out there. That's part of the reason we're still in Oklahoma and we haven't gone back to LA as of yet. So, yeah, I mean, shout out to you guys who are out there driving around, getting your last minute shopping for Thanksgiving.
Yeah, I don't know how people do it. Like even on a regular day, going grocery shopping in person, it's a hassle. I'm slowly becoming the person that just does everything with the app, like a DoorDash or Instacart. Like I just hate being out and about. But this time of year really reminds you, like, okay, yeah, maybe it's better to be on Amazon Prime or whatever it is, DoorDash or Uber Eats. But maybe I'm just being lazy, or maybe I'm just being smart. It's very expensive too, but I did go to the grocery store earlier today, and let's just say the little carritos, little carts was kind of like a mini Carmageddon in the grocery store. That was pretty bad. Okay, go this way, go that way, and people don't want to move sometimes. Hey, there goes a cat.
Here we go.
You know, he is excited for Thanksgiving.
Yeah, everybody is, and I'm sure everybody's excited for this week 12. We got a lot of not so good games, but we got a lot of good games to watch. Tomorrow Thanksgiving, we got a triple header with the games you mentioned earlier. So, whenever you want to get this started
Yeah.
off, Gilbert, why don't you get us started with the engagement question of the week? What do you got for us?
Yes, there is no Thursday night football game to recap because we're doing this a day early because of Thanksgiving. But I do have an engagement question of the week because it's very interesting in the AFC. Who will win the AFC? The Chiefs just lost to the Eagles on Monday Night Football. The Ravens keep winning, but they won't have Mark Andrews, very vital for the offense there, blocking and receiving. Maybe somebody steps up, but I don't know who's going to step up because the Bills are not currently in the picture. They have a big time game against the Eagles. We're going to discuss that for our headline game of the week. Uh, the we have a showdown between the Texans and the Jaguars, but the winner doesn't really feel like a contender, at least not to me. And yeah, maybe it could be Chiefs again or the Ravens, but Joe Burrow being out definitely affected the AFC. So give me, if you're watching live or you're watching the replay, who will win the AFC? There goes the Peanut again. He wants to leave a comment, but I'm very intrigued about this AFC because part of me is kind of like, all right, I'm a little tired of the Chiefs. Maybe I want to see somebody else, but I really don't know who to pick here because I know you've been more on the Ravens bandwagon, but I got to see more from them. And then the Mark Andrews injury kind of makes you feel like okay, but then also too the Browns and the Steelers are kind of there. They don't have a quarterback, so it's very difficult, Vic.
Yeah, and we'll get into it. There is a certain team that I kind of want to talk about during our water cooler storyline of the week. But you're right. I mean, I think it's wide open. I think pretty much everybody had the Chiefs penciled in for another appearance at the Super Bowl. But I'm with you. It's wide open right now in the AFC, especially after what we saw. I mean, the Chiefs haven't scored a second half point in three straight games, and so
Wow.
and then so there's the Chiefs are to be had this season. Unfortunately, Gilbert, as you mentioned, not a lot of teams. It's like one of those like, well, the real AFC contender, please stand up because I think we're all waiting to see. We know what we're getting in the NFC. We know the Eagles, we know the 49ers, the Lions. They're all, kind of running away with their divisions. We're just waiting to see what happens in the AFC.
Yeah. We'll find out a lot about the Bills this week, and that is our headline game of the week. So let's get to it, Victor. And just a reminder, if you're watching live or you're watching the replay, drop a comment. Don't be shy. Let us know an NFL take. Maybe you disagree with one of our picks here. Also, fantasy football advice. That's definitely something that we welcome. And I got to get back on TikTok. It's been a couple of busy weeks because I do enjoy doing my TikTok lives to talk fantasy football, but we could do it here as well. Any comment, it could be if you're watching a House of Horns, shout out to you. We just talked to you for Rams versus Cardinals. Drop a comment, maybe what's up, Bolts. I know you're familiar with Fernando Ramirez's face, but I'm here today. I know the Chargers well. So drop a comment for Chargers versus Ravens, whatever it is. Or you want to talk Thanksgiving, let me know what you're excited for or maybe even thankful for. But I prefer more your food takes and your blessings there. I don't know why I said that, but I do prefer food to keep it honest there. But yeah, whatever you guys want to talk about. But I am ready for Bills versus Eagles, and I'm just gonna just get into it, Vic.
Go
I
ahead.
I chose the Eagles. I was asked to make my picks for SI early because of the holiday. And when I did it, I think I might have done it before Eagles Chiefs. So maybe I'm trying to give myself an out here, but I picked the Eagles, and I hate flip flopping. So once the pick is locked in, everywhere I go on, whatever podcast or whatever we're doing on Compas or whatever story I'm writing, I don't like to change my picks. Like when we do our picks on the Tuesday Wednesday show with the four box there with all four Compas, I just keep everything the same. I hate to change it. I don't like it. It's kind of bad juju. But I almost did it this time to go with the Bills because it does feel like a little bit of a trap game for the Eagles. Short week. They were on the road. a big time, game that that was a very emotional, that you wanted to get some revenge for the Super Bowl rematch there. You had to come back, scratch and claw to win that game. So it feels like it'd be a letdown here, and the Bills have momentum, but I don't feel like I'm really missing out here because the Eagles are very tough to beat at home. So that's when I was okay. Don't change your system here. It's not a great system because I'm not the best at picks, but I do good enough. So I'm gonna stick with the Eagles here. But I think you agree with my take here about being a potential trap game, Vic.
Yeah, I'm with you in terms of the Bills. We just saw what happened with the Bills. They fired their offensive coordinator and Ken Dorsey, and you have Joe Brady now taking over as the offensive coordinator. And I'll give credit to Fernando Ramirez, who hosts, Compas on the B with you. And he mentioned on Rapid Fire how he likes, some of the concepts that Joe Barry uh can bring to the offense for the Bills, and we saw it. I mean, look if you look how good for all the bad things people say about the Jets offense, you have not said anything bad about the Jets defense. We know that they've been consistently good no matter what. They've been able to hold teams under 20 points for the past 6 or 7 games. As Robert Sala said, we've been making quarterbacks look bad. And then Josh Allen just looked different against the Jets, on Sunday. And for me, Gilbert, I'm going with the upset here for the Bills over the Eagles, just because of what you said. You have the Eagles coming off of a big win at the Chiefs. They're celebrating, and a lot of teams, because you look forward to, you're in a revenge mode. You lost the Super Bowl to the Chiefs. You wanted to win this game. You're coming off of that emotional high. And what happens, Gilbert? People end up letting up, and here comes the Bills. The Bills, have been written off already this season. People are like, okay, they're not even in the playoff picture as we talk right now, Gilbert. And so I think this is a big game for the Bills. We don't have those questions that we had with the Dolphins. Some of these other teams were like, when are you going to win a big game?
Yeah.
We know the Bills are. We've seen them with Josh Allen, and this is a perfect recipe for the Bills to be able to go into Philly and pull off the upset, and it's right there for them.
Yeah, no, there's a lot of there that I agree with, but again, my pick 'em pick is gonna be the Eagles, and I'll tell you more right now in a bit, but I'll give you my spread later on. I think it's gonna be close, so I kind of get myself away there. But going playing in Philadelphia is not easy, and for the Bills to do that is gonna be very difficult. And the thing that I worry about the most with the Bills, Vic, is that you know, they didn't have to worry about their defense playing a good offense. That is not an NFL offense. I hate to say it, but I'm tired of watching the Jets on prime time with Zach Wilson. Maybe Tim Boyd does something better. That's a different game, by the way. But I'm just saying that when when the Bills shorthanded defense didn't have to worry about a passing game, maybe okay, let's kind of load up the box for Brees Hall. Garrett Wilson, I know this because he's in my fantasy team. I keep waiting for him to do something. He had like 2 catches for 8 yards and then a fumble for -1 point in fantasy football. Like Garrett Wilson can't do anything. So, you know, that Bills defense was not tested at all. And when you don't have to, when the defense is holding it down, that makes you feel play cooler and free on the offensive side. Okay, the defense is gonna lock it down. Like we could just play whatever you want to do over here with Ken, well, not Ken Dorsey, Joe Brady, the new play caller. So when you're playing a tougher defense and a better team all around, like one that can actually score, all this comes into play. And the Eagles, they're professionals. Like they're not as desperate to make the playoffs right now, but they're desperate to like keep that 1 seed and then win that Super Bowl. Like that's like their hunger there. And I do like the grit for the Eagles. I think maybe that trap game mentality. This team could be the one. You know what? We don't worry about stuff like that. Like we're gonna be locked in every single game. But the Bills defense against Jalen Hurts, AJ Brown, Devontae Smith, no Goddard, but DeAndre Swift, that's what makes me feel like, okay, as Eagles pick, okay, I'm okay with that.
Yeah, and I mean, going off of what you just mentioned there, we still haven't we I mentioned this in our regular Compas episode on my takeaways, is we still haven't seen the Eagles have their best game of the season yet. They've been able to win every way they possible because they have that kind of a good team. The only, like I said, I'm not giving shade to the Eagles. I just think this is prime for a letdown game just because everything is there for the Bills to be able to take advantage of this game. The Eagles are 2 games ahead of the 49ers. That's who they want to stay above. And we know that the Lions have an easier schedule going down the stretch, but I just feel like the Eagles know what's at stake for them, as you talked about, and eventually you're gonna let up, and a team's gonna come in there and win a game. It doesn't mean that we don't think they're the best team in the NFC so far this season.
Yeah, that's gonna be definitely a good race there for the number one seed, and I'm sure Lions fans are rooting for the Bills, and you're picked to be right because if the Eagles don't lose, that doesn't help the Lions, to get the number one seed. The 49ers, they could still get it, but they have a tougher schedule. The Lions, it's made for them to win it. They almost blew it last week, so who knows? But I thought the Eagles were going to lose to the Chiefs. They did not, so they got one out the way. But it is a tough schedule, and it would be very impressive. I think this murderous row of schedule that they have, they go undefeated after that. So I think they play the Cowboys maybe next week, or maybe 2 weeks from now. I forget. Might be 49. Oh, yeah. So I think they went from Chiefs, Bills, 49ers, Cowboys. Like that is the most difficult 4-game stretch you could have there. So we'll see what they do. But we are disagreement there, and I'm ready for the 3 games to watch on page 2.
Before we move on, Gilbert, can you give the people the spread in this game so that
Yeah.
way if they're betting on this game, they know what the right side of this line is?
Yeah, I was gonna mention that one later, but we can't forget
Oh,
the individual games because that's gonna be one of my top picks for the
okay,
spread.
we can
But
move on then.
no, we could talk about it. It's I keep seeing it in both places. Could be either +3.5 for the Bills or +3 for the Bills. Uh, so it definitely you see +3.5 for the Bills. Jump on that because I think they could definitely cover that. +3, I'm a little hesitant about, but if you're seeing an upset like Vic does, then definitely take the points. Or you want a little more money, take the money line.
Yeah, that's a good way to go. All right, Gilbert, let's move on to page 2. This is our 3 games to watch. Just because we don't have a Thursday night game to break down tonight, I figure we add another game and if there's better matchups, we usually like to add an extra game. Usually we do too. So let's start off with tomorrow's night's game, and that's the Seahawks and 49ers game, the night game on Thanksgiving night, Gilbert.
Yeah, I wish I was a little more hyped for Seahawks versus 49ers, but then the Seahawks had to go lose to the Rams, and they haven't been playing well defensively or offensively. I know Geno Smith is expected to play because you do not want to see Drew Lock. Drew Lock played a little bit against the Rams, and he threw an interception, and it pretty much cost him the game. He is not a good starting quarterback. And I know people are frustrated with Geno Smith, but let's end the debate about either Drew Lock or Geno Smith. This is what you have, and you would rather have Geno Smith. So I'm glad that he's gonna, it seems like he's gonna play. But the 49ers, regained their mojo. They're dominant again, and everybody's saying, "Well, look at Brock Purdy. He's a fraud." Well, who cares? When the offense is fully loaded, Brock Purdy is that guy. So, you know, the, you know, I'm trying to remember though, Vic, if he played at Seattle last year, because that could be a new little thing for him to deal with as a young quarterback. I'm just trying to find something to make it close here. And then the defense has been playing well with Chase Young, and I know I got some heat from my guys in Oklahoma for saying, yeah, I wish the 49ers didn't have to go get Chase Young. I wish they could have just made it work with what they had, which is a lot. But hey, credit to John Lynch, he didn't settle and he added Chase Young, and it made people wake up like, oh crap, we need to get going here because we're not doing well. And you see Nick Bosa playing well, Fred Warner after kind of a couple rough games back to being an All Pro. They got Dre Greenlaw. Ufanga injury is gonna hurt them, but when they have a very ferocious front, they will do well. But the secondary has been a problem all year. So that's the thing with the 49ers is if Geno can avoid the pressure and is spreading the ball out to DK, like we got to see his offense clicking. They have a lot of weapons. Like I know Kenneth Walker won't play either, which is again making it seem more lopsided. But if Geno is able to avoid the pressure, you could beat that secondary, which we saw in that 3-game winning streak, but 3-game losing streak. But I'm gonna go with the 49ers here, but I see him +7 for the Seahawks, and they're at home. I will take the Seahawks and the +7, but every time I feel like I do that with the Seahawks being underdogs, they get crushed or something. Like I picked them against the Ravens, which was in Baltimore, and they got crushed. But I do feel good about them being at home. I just don't see a way where they beat the 49ers.
Yeah, and going back, yes, it's funny that you asked about Brock Purdy if he faced them. He did. It was a Thursday night game, so just like, and they were
Mm.
wearing the Seahawks were wearing those highlighter uniforms, which they will, which makes me think that the 49ers will be wearing their whites here in Seattle. Purdy went 17 of 26, 217 yards, two touchdowns. Geno Smith, 31 of 44, 238 yards and one touchdown. And of course, Christian McCaffrey was also on the team by then, and he had 26 carries for 108 yards and one touchdown. I think the big key in this game, I think, is going to be George Kittle, who also had a big game against the Seahawks. 4 receptions, 93 yards, and two touchdowns in that matchup. And I think that's where you have to start, Gilbert. I think we saw that 3-game losing streak for the 49ers, and everybody started asking what's wrong with the 49ers? Why are they? And of course, we all said, well, they have a couple of players out, and that might be the reason. And then since they've gotten those players back, I mean, everybody's been right. I mean, who's been saying it? They've been just rolling teams, whether it was the Jaguars, 2 weeks ago, and then this past week. I mean, they against the Buccaneers, they seem to have found their groove back again, and now they're starting to look just as scary. Especially Brock Purdy looks right again, and he'll probably be in the MVP conversation just if he continues the streak that he's on. And I like the 49ers in this game for that reason. It's just Geno Smith is banged up. No Kenneth Walker. You might have to go with Zach Charbonnet. And we've talked about it on House of Horns. We're not, for as much as we thought the Seahawks were going to be better this season, they lead the league in penalties, and they lead the league by in penalties by I think 10 penalties, Gilbert. So they're still so undisciplined, which is weird to say with a Pete Carroll team, but that's the case with the Seahawks. So I really like the 49ers in this game just because of that. And like we've talked about too, we thought playing in Seattle was a big advantage, but some teams have gone into Lumen Stadium and looked pretty good, which it's is weird to say too, Gilbert.
Yeah, the only way I like having a home field advantage is big, but the only way I really see this being, a game of the Seahawks win, it was like their talent on the defensive side just steps up. Like if Rick Woolen and Devin Witherspoon just shut down Debo and Kittle and Ayuk, which is a lot to ask for, but they have a lot of talent, but they keep getting they leave a lot of big plays. They haven't been this really shut down defense. If Leonard Williams steps up, you could attack the offensive line. They haven't been great on the right side. Maybe Boye Mafia does something. So they do have the talent, but they don't seem to be clicking and to like just see it come together in one game. Like maybe it could like sometimes coaches don't want to show too much because they're waiting for that big time rivalry game. And maybe that could be something where they do defensively, offensively. I don't think that's it because they were 6-4. Like at some point you can't stop playing these mind games. Okay, I can't show this, I can't show that. Like no, you got to win a game. So they just haven't been clicking like point blank period. But they do have the talent, so they could definitely come together for one game. And like, okay, it's a big rivalry because if those cornerbacks are on point, they could definitely frustrate Brock Purdy. And also too, we keep just ignoring it, but this running game for CMC and the 49ers has not been great. They've been okay. They get touchdowns, I get that, but if you make them one dimensional, maybe that could be the way to get it with Brock Purdy. But uh, I'm with the 49ers all the way. You are too, but something feels a little trap game because 7 points for in Seattle seems like a lot. But I will take the points here, but I don't see a victory for the 49ers. But I am ready for the next one.
Yeah, and I mean, you're right. It's hard to imagine just how, you know, uh, the Seahawks pull off this win, especially if you're missing that many. If Geno Smith doesn't go, but we'll see what happens. It's still rivalry game on a Thursday night, and so it's a short week, as you mentioned. So we'll see what happens. It'll be an interesting watch. We were all excited going into this game, but then with the other thing I was going to mention before we move on, Gilbert, is they're facing each other you know, um, in a 3 week span. That's also something to think about, as you said. Like, you don't want to, facing a rival of 3 weeks. That's got to be hard. So you would think they'll split some of these games, but we'll see what happens. All right, let's move on to Jaguars and Texans.
Yeah, I remember a time not so long ago where the AFC South was terrible. Nobody wanted to watch a game between these two, two division rivals. But I'm very excited for Jaguars versus Texans. We come a long way for the AFC South. Now the NFC South is definitely the snoozer of the league. I don't want to watch anything involving the NFC South, but the AFC South. I wish Anthony Richardson was healthy, so you could watch Richardson, Stroud, Lawrence. Maybe Will Levis for a bit was kind of exciting, but not doing too much right now. But Jaguars versus Texans, and it's so intriguing because they're only apart by one game, and the Texans are the ones that are behind, but they already beat down the Jaguars and they own the tiebreaker. So if they win again, they move into first place. And CJ Stroud getting a home game in the playoffs. Oh, I'm all up for that. I'll be excited for that. But then the Jaguars had to go and wake up. They woke up Calvin Ridley, 2 touchdowns, and they crushed the Titans. I know the Titans are not great, but to kind of see that, especially Trevor Lawrence after a horrific game against the 49ers, 4 total touchdowns. Supposedly the knee's now fine. I thought the knee was fine the whole time, but I guess that was an issue after the 49ers game. But if Lawrence is healthy, living up to his potential, getting really involved, getting Evan Ingram involved, Christian Kirk, who knows what's going on with Zay Jones and Travis Etienne. That's a very good offense there. And even the defense, I can't name a bunch of players on there, but they got some dudes and they're aggressive. They have a good front. The other Josh Allen, they're making plays there. So, if they're creating havoc and making CJ Stroud throw more interceptions, maybe the Jaguars could pull it off here. But I really don't. I'm torn for this pick here, Vic. But I've been riding the Texas bandwagon all season, so I don't want to go away from them, especially being at home. But I am concerned about what I saw last week with the Jaguars waking up. But give me the Texans on this one, and I think the spread was actually the Jaguars are favorites, and people saw that game a week ago and took them seriously. So -1.5 for the Jaguars in Houston.
Yeah, and this is a big revenge game for the Jaguars, especially after what happened. I think they were overlooking the Texans, and the Texans took advantage of it, in their first matchup. And one of the things I've been really impressed with is the Jaguars defense. As you talked about, it's been the better side of the ball for the Jaguars, and finally seeing the offense wake up with Trevor Lawrence, Say Jones, Calvin Ridley, all those guys, and you've seen Etienne kind of take a back seat. You've seen Tank Bisley pretty much, start, being incorporated into the offense has been a good thing for them. And it just took a little bit of time for Doug Peterson to figure out what he wanted to do with this offense. And for me, I really like the Jaguars in this game. I told you a couple of weeks ago that I was, I wasn't impressed with this offense, but and I would pick against them. And then finally I just said, you know what? I'm if the Jaguars are not playing like a team like the 49ers, I'm gonna pick them. And I just think they're in for a revenge game here. And I like the Jaguars in this game just because of it. I think they've been better on the road, believe it or not, Gilbert, than they've been at home. I
Mm.
don't know what it is about the Jaguars, but they play better on the road.
You know, honestly, I think there's more here for the Jaguars to prove, not just to me, but I guess everybody who's intrigued about this game because the Texans feel like they're a year ahead. So whatever they do, as long as they get to the playoffs, like cool, like they're a wild card team. Like that's awesome for this franchise. The Jaguars were like on the fence. Okay, are you really a Super Bowl contender? Are you just kind of team that's always involved but not really doing anything? Like if they go and they beat the Texans in Houston, maybe shut down CJ Stroud and then really goes off again, I'm like, okay, that's the Super Bowl contender I've been waiting for. And I give the Jaguars a lot of credit for their 5 game winning streak, but that they were kind of just getting by with the defense. I'm like, okay, they're getting their job done, but it doesn't feel like a legit threat. I'm gonna give them the benefit of the doubt, and I didn't really feel it. And then they play the 49ers, like, oh, okay, they were pretenders, I guess. But If they go in and they win, but they win it in good fashion with Calvin, like that's a difference to me. If Calvin is playing like a number one wide receiver and everybody's getting involved, and Trevor Lawrence is playing like an MVP, then I'm gonna take them seriously. But right now, I haven't seen that from them. But if they do it on Sunday, I'm gonna be like, okay, fine, like, Jaguars, you're somebody. But if the Texans win and CJ Stroud, gets the best of them, all right, Jaguars, I don't want to hear anything about you. And the Texans, I feel like even if they win, they'll be more like what the Jaguars were a year ago, right? Like they'll maybe win a playoff game, but that's about it. But it's a good story though.
Yeah, and I kind of wish, Gilbert, and I said this for when we had our regular Compas episode, you know, that released today was, I kind of wish this game was on prime time because I think we kind of deserve, and I will our we'll get into our next game, which is the one that didn't get flexed out, and rightfully so, it shouldn't get flexed out, but I kind of wish we kind of got to see the Texans and Jaguars game in prime time. And who would have thought that, an AFC South matchup that would be such an intriguing to watch. But here we are, like we're talking about it. It's one of our second tier games, and it's all because and it's a credit to both of these franchises, Gilbert. They've been able to identify their quarterbacks. Now they have their franchise quarterback, and the AFC South is going to be loaded now with quarterbacks, that young quarterbacks that everybody's going to want to watch. And who knows? Whoever wins this division, hopefully they don't get stuck in that Saturday 10 a.m. game like they usually do for the wild card. But it's an intriguing matchup that I'm glad we're talking about because as I said, the Texans don't have a primetime game this season. They don't even get a Thursday night game. And so hopefully they get flexed into a couple of games. It's going to be hard. We went through that through the schedule on regular compas, and there's not a lot of games where somebody is going to want to pull them into prime time. So
Yeah.
I'm glad we're talking about it here because we might not be able to just with the rest of the matchups that the Texans have going forward.
Yeah, I wish we could have flip flop like, all right, Cardinals, sorry, Commanders, Cowboys, get out of here and put in Jaguars versus Texans for Thanksgiving, but we can't really do that. But yeah, let's move on. And this game is in prime time. We got one more for the tier two games. Ravens versus Chargers. And Vic, I feel a little bit of trap game vibes too for this one. Not as much as I do with Bills and the Eagles. And the reason I say why the Ravens could run into some trouble with the Chargers are talented. They're gonna give you problems. They're gonna make you sweat. Go to a one score game, then they're gonna blow it. They're gonna have some kind of mistake, a drop, a fumble, a missed field goal. That's just is what they do. But with the Ravens having to go all the way to LA, their first game without Mark Andrews. You know, I know that Lamar Jackson got 10 days of rest, but his ankle could be something to monitor. And then I just saw, I think also OBJ is dealing with a shoulder thing. So, you know, I don't know what's going to happen with this offense here if they're not on point with their first game with such a vital piece of Mark Andrews. And then, but then that defense is really good though. And I know I keep waiting for the defense to kind of have a bad game because they don't have a lot of talent. Rokon Smith is really good. They got Kyle Hamilton. I think Marlon Humphrey might be hurt. I forget. But they're just coached so well. They have a great scheme. And then, former Charger Kyle Van Noy also comes to town. So, I think the defense can maybe hold them down. But do have concerns about Lamar Jackson without Mark Andrews. But then again, Brandon Staley's defense has not been good at all. So they'll probably get by. I feel like the Ravens. They're gonna be my pick, the Ravens here, and I should probably give you the spread. It's Sunday Night Football game near the bottom. Ravens minus 3.5. It was maybe like 5 or something. I would have taken the Chargers, but again, it feels like a little bit of a trap game, but not really. I don't know. I'm trying to figure it out here, but I will pick the Ravens and to cover minus 3.5.
Yeah, I'm with you in terms of the trap game, just because we've seen the Ravens, the games that they've lost have been against teams you just expected them to win. They were up 2 touchdowns on the Browns, and the Browns came back. They were up on the Colts, and the Colts came back and beat them. It's prime for that kind of situation. We know what's going on with the Chargers. We know Brandon Staley is under fire. The Chargers fan base wants Brandon Staley fired, gone already. And so usually when that happens, whether we're either going to see two things happen here, Gilbert. Either that team is gone, the players are gone, and they've tuned them out, or they're going to play for him and they're going to be like, look, we like you as a coach, and we want to go out there and win a game for you. So it'll be interesting to see what happens. But I think in terms of the betting line, I like the Chargers to keep it close. But like you said, of they're it's Brandon Staley and the Chargers. They're gonna somehow lose this game, and it's funny because you have two teams here who have lost one score games in terrible ways, and so it'll be interesting to
Yeah,
see which team decides who's gonna lose, which team finds a way to lose this game. And for me, I just think it's the Chargers because I have a little bit more faith in, as you talked about, in the Ravens and that defense with Mike McDonald. You also have Davian Clowney there. You have other guys that people don't talk about, but and it's just they're well schemed up, and I think they'll do enough to be able to pull off this win. But I
yeah.
would I would bet the Chargers, on the line there.
Yeah, you bring up a good point with Brandon Staley. Like, if they do get embarrassed by a very good Ravens team on prime time, then there's a lot of pressure on the ownership to make a change. But we'll see what happens there. But yeah, if they play close and they lose, that doesn't mean anything for Brandon Staley. They always play close and they lose. Like, if they come out and they win, it's like, that could give you some points for Brandon Staley. And the thing for the Chargers, though, they better jump out to a lead because the Ravens don't know how to play from behind because they tend to kind of just dominate opponents. And they had a couple of hiccups in the fourth quarter with the Colts and the Steelers and the Browns. But you put a lot of pressure on them, and with Justin Herbert, and you don't have Mark Andrews, OBJ is dealing with something, Lamar's dealing with an ankle thing. It could be something where you could catch them, but I don't see it. They're well coached, good defense, and I don't know what the heck is going on with the Chargers, but it would be interesting to see if it goes sideways for them. What will happen in terms of Brandon Staley's job? And he definitely he's been in the headlines and the talk shows all week, and he's giving people a lot of good content with his angry press conferences. But we do not have Brandon Staley involved for the water cooler storyline this week. Maybe it could have been a good
No.
one, but let's move on to the next one, Vic.
All right, here we go. So water cooler storyline of the week. So, since since it's Thanksgiving weekend, we have a long weekend of games coming up. So what is gonna be the storyline come Monday, Gilbert? What's your first one?
Yeah, I know I'm already panicking about the Chiefs, but I think more people will if they have a close one or even lose to the Raiders. They're playing in Las Vegas. I don't know if Fernando wants me to share this, but he keeps saying like, "Oh, I think the Raiders can make some noise here. The Raiders might even beat the Chiefs here." So if it's close or they lose, people are going to be saying, "Yeah, we're leaving the Chiefs bandwagon." Travis Kelsey, oh, we got a thumbs up here. Cool, we're in a live. Drop a comment if you want to, but I like the like here. People like the demise of the Chiefs here, and people are going to be saying, "Hey, what are you doing?" Travis Kelsey with the distraction of Taylor Swift going to Argentina on a bye week. People are going to be talking about that a little more. So I could definitely see the Chiefs struggling against the Raiders. A very good Raiders defense, Victor, with Max Crosby and Patrick Graham calling the plays there. So, and then also the thing though I do worry about is like the Chiefs defense is really good to maybe fluster Aiden O'Connell into a couple, mistakes, a pick six here or there, and they win that game. Kind of like that Germany game where the Chiefs bailed out the Patrick Mahomes on the offense with the scoop and score. That could maybe occur here, but I don't know, man. This Chiefs offense is really bad right now. They need players to make plays and just catch the freaking ball. So we'll see what they do for this one.
Yeah, I mean, it you know the it's funny that you mentioned this because the Raiders defense held the Dolphins at home, which they've been blowing out teams at home, and they held them to 20 points. I mean, that was really impressive.
Yeah.
Their offense didn't show up, but you know, one thing that I've seen from Aiden O'Connell is he plays better at home, like most rookie quarterbacks are going to, and I think that's where it comes in. And just going back to the Chiefs, the streak is over now. With Patrick Mahomes and him being able to beat and AFC West opponents, they lost to the Broncos, and the Broncos. I know they won, what is it, 4 or 5 in a row now. Um, the and so you've seen the Chiefs be able to lose against other AFC West opponents, and so this is where the Raiders can take advantage of it. And I'm with you. I think and we'll get into our betting locks, but I really like the Raiders to keep it close here. I know it's like 8.5 or something like that. So
-9
minus
for
9. There you
for
go.
the
So
Chiefs.
I like the
Yeah.
Raiders to keep it close, especially at home. One of the things I've noticed, maybe it's because they play the Jets and the Giants, but I don't think it's that, Gilbert. I think since the firing and what Antonio Pierce has brought to that Raiders team, it's invigorated the fan base, and I don't think fans are selling their tickets as much as so.
Mm,
I will be interested to see whether it's if it's 50-50 like we've seen with the Chiefs since the Raiders have moved to Vegas, or if we see more Raider fans actually go to this game because they're invigorated
yeah.
since they fired Josh McDaniel.
Yeah, that's definitely interesting to see how it looks in Las Vegas. But yeah, I'm gonna pick the Chiefs to win the game, but I will take the +9 for the Raiders. And I told my good friend, or our good friend, Rudy, who's a Raiders fan, hey, don't doubt the Raiders' pride because they have a good defense and they know how to run the football. I don't think it was the best day for that, but you know. If you do those two things well, you run the football and you play defense, you're always gonna keep it close unless like you if you fall behind early, then that kind of that script is gone. You can't really do that. So if they keep it close with the Chiefs and they're running the football, they're playing good defense. They might even steal it here, but I think we agree on this one here.
Yeah, before we move on, Gilbert, let me just give you one more stat. I'm sure especially if you're betting on this game, this is according to Josh DeBow of the Associated Press. He says that since Andy Reid has taken over as Chiefs coach, they've only lost 3 times to the Raiders. Those 3 times all came on a short week, which the Chiefs are on a short week. 2 of those were on a Thursday night game, and so if, like I said, if you're a betting guy and you're looking for trends, the Chiefs, the only 3 times that Andy Reid has lost to the Raiders has been on a short week, which the Chiefs are coming off of a Monday night loss
Mm.
to. So, all right, here we go to your next one, which is has to do with the Dolphins. Go ahead.
Yeah, the Dolphins have not really been in the headlines. I know they're on Hard Knocks now, which I don't have no interest in watching. Well, I don't know. I don't know why they do these mid-season Hard Knocks. I don't care for that, but maybe people do. But other than that, like they kind of been quiet. They lost to the Chiefs. They had a bye week. No matter they were playing a close one to the Raiders. They barely won that. But like you mentioned with the Staley part earlier, like I'm starting to think people on the Jets are starting to check out on Robert Saleh, or like they're just frustrated about the whole quarterback situation. Like all of a sudden we go with Tim Boy, and if a Tim Boy struggles, oh, it's gonna be like, okay, what the heck are we playing here for? Because we have no quarterback. They probably see what Josh Dobbs is doing over there, with the Vikings, and it kind of felt like this front office, this coach failed us. So if Tyreek Hill gets an early touchdown here for the Dolphins on the Black Friday game against the Jets here, and I'll give you the spread here right now. What did I have? Damn. Okay. Dolphins -9.5. So no one's expecting the Jets to do anything. They're gonna drop a 40 burger. I feel like it's a very good defense, but if they drop 40 points on Robert Saleh's defense, that tells me people are checking out. They blew it with the quarterback situation here. And finally maybe the Dolphins get back in the headlines for going off with Tua, Waddle, Tyreek. They've been very quiet, but I think this week, especially after what the Bills did to the Robert Saleh defense last week, I think the Dolphins will top that this week.
Yeah, I this is the first time we're gonna disagree, Gilbert, because
Oh.
I really do think that especially with Robert Sala, I understand the whole thing with the quarterback, and I feel like that was from the front office. That stuff was coming from the front office, and I get it. He's the guy that has to show his face after every press conference and tell people, "Hey, Zach Wilson is our quarterback." So I totally understand that. But the one thing I've seen is that defense has not given up on him. Yeah, they played against the Bills and the Bills finally showed up. And I just don't see it from the Dolphins. I think the thing with the Dolphins is their defense is actually really good now. Now that they got Ramsey back, they've been really good. I mean, I think he has a 0 rating since he's been back, which is, with when he's been targeted, which is I mean, and even that interception late in that game against the Raiders was impressive. So I just think the game's gonna stay close. It's a Friday game in the middle of the day. I think it's a 3 Eastern time game. And so I just think it's gonna be one of those ugly games in terms of, like, it's not gonna be it's just gonna be a dirty game where it stays close and then the Dolphins pull it off in the end. But I mean, I do like the you're saying that they're gonna draw 40 on them. That would be good
Yeah,
to see,
I
but I
I am
just don't see it.
expecting a blowout here. I'm going with the Dolphins minus 9.5. I just don't want to see the Jets anymore. I get it. It's not Zach Wilson. Like, oh man, like he is not ready to be a starting quarterback in this league. They can't get anything going with him. I know he had a couple games where he was decent, but they had two separate 3-game losing streaks with the guy. They gave him too much of a leash, and I feel like it's gonna be a tough ask, especially with the OC. Nathaniel Hackett hasn't been great either. Like it's both
Yeah,
Wilson and
and can I
Hackett.
can I can I can I sorry to bother you there because I've had this, on my mind for a while now, and I understand that people how Steeler fans have been angry at Matt Canada, and finally he got fired. I understand that, but Nathaniel Hackett has been terrible as both the coach of the Denver Broncos. They were ranked 30th, and now with the Jets he's ranked 30th. I don't understand. I get why he was hired, and it was because of Aaron Rodgers. But I don't understand why there's not as much, fault here with Nathaniel Hackett. And I get that Robert Saleh is getting the majority of the blame. But honestly, I just don't understand why, there's not as much being talked about on Nathaniel Hackett. Glad you brought it up.
It's all they just threw all their chips into the Aaron Rodgers basket. Hey, Aaron Rodgers, like we want to make you happy. Who are your boys? Oh, Randall Cobb. Oh, he won't play, but put him on the roster. Hackett was pretty bad. Oh, he's your guy. All right, put him on. Zach Wilson, you hung out with him to play golf a couple times. Oh, he's your guy. We'll keep him on the roster. Like all these were like pretty much Aaron Rodgers' plan A with him being healthy, and then plan B play all his guys, and plan B was disastrous. And like it just feels like okay, I feel like Aaron Rodgers probably saying, you know what, okay, fine, I'll make the change that you need, and it's just going very poorly, and that's why I feel like I don't know. I checked up on Tim Boy. He started 3 games for the Lions a few years ago. Maybe he does something, and maybe I'm overlooking that part because it's not Zach Wilson. But I just feel like if the Dolphins get off to a strong start, and I know Robert Sala's defense is really good, but what I saw a week ago, that was not a good defense. So I'm going off of that, and I'm also kind of part of me is rooting for the Dolphins to wipe them out because I just want to be done with the Jets. Like you guys wasted our time all year. You waited too long to make a change, and you can tell that I'm annoyed with them.
Yeah, no, and I get. I'm with you on that. That no more primetime games for the Jets.
There might be
I'm with
one or
you
two
on
that I'm
that.
forgetting about.
Yeah. All right, I'm gonna give you mine real quick,
All right.
Gilbert. We talked about it already, and it has to do with I picked the Bills and Josh Allen to go to the Super Bowl, and I think that the storyline on Monday is going to be that Josh Allen and the Bills are back after their upset win over the Eagles. I just think that they're primed to get back. We always forget. We're waiting for that team to step up in the AFC, and I think it's going to be the Bills are going to raise their hand and they're going to be back in the playoff picture, and they're going to be like, "Hey, we're back and we're ready to compete now." So that's what I'm going with, Gilbert.
I like it. Like I mentioned, I was hesitant about the Eagles pick because I think the Bills could catch them slipping this week, and if they win that game, they're definitely back into hey maybe they're Super Bowl contenders because like we mentioned at the top of the show, the AFC is wide open. Like until we watch the Ravens play without Mark Andrews, we don't know how they're gonna be, and the Chiefs don't have an offense, and the Jaguars and the Texans kind of feel like pretenders. So and like I mentioned, the Browns and Steelers don't have a quarterback, so and to your point, you mentioned we've seen the Bills. They know how to win big time games. So if they find the way in and they start by making that run this week, oh, definitely, I can see people saying, hey, you know what, maybe they're back. And it's a little tough for me to say that because how many times has it been, Vic, where they fire like a coordinator and be like, and they get to the Super Bowl and people are, hey, what sparked your rally? Well, we fired that guy. Like you never hear that. Like, hey, we fired that guy for the best here. Like it's always kind of rare to do. But we've been watching Ken Dorsey kind of fumble this offense for years, and maybe that was kind of the fire that Josh Allen needed. Like, hey, we fired your boy, stop turning the ball over.
Yeah, I mean, I just think that eventually a team like this who's been so close, we saw what happened against the Chiefs where, they were 13 seconds away from getting to the Super Bowl and blew it. So hopefully, this is their chance now that it's wide open and it usually happens with a team like that who's been knocking on the door, they finally break through and this is their chance now that the AFC seems to be falling back to them. So let's get to our betting locks now, Gilbert, of the week. Let me just go over. It's kind of a little tight. We weren't, as you talked about, we weren't here last week to kind of go over it. So let me give you the from the week before that. You had as your number five, you had the Texans as plus 6.5 against the Bengals. You got that one right. Your number four was Jags +3 against the 49ers. You got that one wrong. You had the Lions -3 against the Chargers. I gave you that one. It's a push.
Oh yeah, it
But
was. Then.
yeah, so
Okay.
I'll give you the push there. And then you had number two Saints against the Vikings. You had the over 40.5. You got that one right. And then you missed the Commanders and Seahawks 44.5, the under. I so my number five was the Colts -2.5 against the Patriots. They they made it close there towards the end, but I got that one right. I had number four, I had the Steelers -3 versus the Packers. I got that one right. I had the Ravens +6.5 against the Browns. I was good until the final quarter there when they were up by 2 touchdowns. So I missed on that one. I had the Raiders and Jets at 36.5 uh, under, and I hit that one. And then I missed on the Deontay Johnson 60.5 receiving yards for the over. So far through the season, Gilbert, you're at 37 points, and I'm at 33. I was able to catch up a little bit with you, even with the success we had last week. So, give us your top betting locks of the week.
Yeah. For me, it's kind of my way of being involved with the Bills upset if it occurs, but also kind of protecting myself. So I'm going with the Eagles straight up. But for my number five, my best bet of the week, especially you could get it because I'm seeing it. I'm gonna take it though, Vic. I'm seeing different places, but I'm gonna take Bills +3.5. I keep seeing three, but I'm gonna take 3.5. That's okay with you.
Yeah,
Uh,
I have that as my number two, so that way we can skip it when it comes to mine. So I have it as
okay.
my number two.
So you have +2.5 also. Cool. Then I
Yes,
feel good
at
about
as
that.
my number two.
Cool. That's on number five. And I know for the past few weeks you've kind of been on the Rams bet, but this week I'll be the one on the Rams side. Number four, Rams -1 against the Cardinals. Pretty much a pick 'em, but I feel like the Rams will win this game here.
I'm also on that one, Gilbert.
Okay.
That's my
Good.
number five, my number one. I mean, my number one. So I'm with you on that one. So far
Okay.
we're 2 for 2.
All right. And then my 3-pointer will be I'm going back to the Seahawks. They better cover +7 against the 49ers. I don't feel good about it, but they're at home. Show some pride. And then for my 2-pointer, Bills versus Eagles. This was really high for me. I don't know why. 48.5. I'm taking the under. It's gonna be kind of a playoff atmosphere. And I know the Bills went off for 1 week, but like they're playing a better team this week with the Eagles. So and like you mentioned, the Eagles' offense has not been on point. So how about a kind of a physical, frustrating game for both sides? Give me the under 48.5. And then my 1-pointer, Rams versus Cardinals, 44.5. Again, I think that's a little too high for this Rams offense, but they do have Kyron Williams back. I don't know about that. But I'll go with the under here, which I did on House of Horns, 44.5. Rams versus Cardinals. That's my 1-pointer.
Yeah, I like that, and I could only do Rams as +1 at Cardinals, so that's why I only took it as my one. But I like all of those, to be honest with you. And so let me give you mine. As I talked about, I gave you two. No, my number two was Bills +3.5 at the Eagles, and then run. My number one is Rams +1 at Cardinals. So let me start off with number five,
You're
and
taking
this
the
is the
plus
reason
one because mine was -1 round. Yours is +1.
no, you're right. It's -1.
Okay, I was gonna say.
The Cardinals are favorite. The
Yeah.
Cardinals are favorite, right? Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
on the one that I'm looking at right now, it's -1 Rams.
Oh, wow. So it keeps changing. So
Yeah.
it's pretty much a pick 'em. Either way, it's pretty much a pick 'em. So we're both picking the Rams to win, right?
Alright, they just make it a pick at the pick 'em?
Yeah.
All
Yeah,
right,
let's just
cool.
that's
Right.
pretty much what it is. I mean, unless if it ends up
Let the
by one
Cardinals win
point,
by
then
one.
we'll look at it and we'll be like
Yeah.
whatever we decided. All right, let me give you my number five. My number five is this is why I disagreed about that score that you said they were gonna hang 40 on
Ah.
the
Oh,
Dolphins are gonna hang 40 on the
yeah.
Jets. It's because I like the under in this game. I think it's gonna be a sloppy game, and so I like the under. I've been on the
It could
Jets
be
all
40-0, Vic. 40-0.
yeah, I know. It could be. I hope it is because it's 40 and a half. So maybe you get your 40 points there and it's 40-0, but I like the under in this game. I just think the Jets have been able to hold off a lot of these teams. We have a comment, so I'll get to it.
Oh, cool.
Let me go briefly here. As you talked about the Chiefs and the Raiders, that's my number four. I like the Raiders at plus. You said it's 9, so I'll have to change it. I had it at 8.5, so I guess it's gone up. And then the 49ers, I really like. They've been really good against the Seahawks.
Wow. Disagree there.
I like it at -7 for the 49ers. So those are my five this week, Gilbert. And let me get to these comments before we move on to the rest. We have Vivienne Dung with they got Buffalo money line. I
Oh,
like
I like
this.
it.
I like it. I told you. I and then also she's got Jaguars money line as well.
Okay.
So they're with me here. I like that. I like both of those picks. So
Yeah,
yeah,
this could be actually like for SI, they make me do like 5 best bets games. And when I was done doing it, I was like, wow, I picked the spread for the plus on all 5 of them. I've never done that, I feel like, this season. So there could be some upset, and I'm playing it safe by taking points. This person is going money. Like, I love it. Like, I think another one that I saw that I was trying to like, I think I even like chose. It depends on the odds though, like the number. I think I saw like Chargers +4 or something, and I took that one on that
yeah,
one.
that's a good one too. If you find
Yeah.
the Chargers at +4 at home, I really like that bet.
And then, actually, yeah, I took the Raiders +9. I don't know how I feel about money line that one, but it's like a good week for taking the plus points on this one, I feel like. But
Yeah,
those are
I
good
like
money
it,
line.
especially with that line. If you're getting that at 9, I'm betting it on the Raiders. Like I said, I'm good with them keeping it close. They've been able to, especially I think last week's line against the Dolphins was somewhere at 10.5, and it was 7. So if
Yeah,
you
yeah.
bet the Raiders in that game, you won some good money there. So all right, Gilbert, let's get our quick dump offs. Let's start off with Packers at Lions. This is where we talk about the rest of the games and we give our picks here for everybody watching or listening.
Yeah, right now the Packers are +7.5. They're going to Detroit for the Thanksgiving game here, and you know what? I'm a little surprised I'm gonna go this way, but I'm gonna take the Lions to win it for sure. They're gonna be at home. They're good now on Thanksgiving. I'm excited to watch them, which is a change of times there. But the Packers have been a little feisty. You know what? Because it's 7.5, just that point 5 makes a difference for me because you could lose by more than a touchdown. Give me the Packers to cover, but the Lions to win.
I'm with you on that one. I really like it. And the Lions haven't played well on Thanksgiving Day. I think they've lost like 3 or 4 in a row. But I like the Lions to win, but I like the Packers to cover here. I'm
Okay.
with you on that one.
And we
And then
got
next one is Steelers at Bengals. This would have been a nice game to watch, but no Joe Burrow.
yeah. So right now, Steelers are -1. They're the favorites, even though they're in Cincinnati, because, like you mentioned, no Joe Burrow. I don't feel confident about this, but I'm not trying to side with Jake Browning here. So I know they're at home, but give me the Steelers. Obviously, it's a pick 'em, so -1 Steelers, but I don't feel good about it. They fired Matt Canada, but they still got Kenny Pickett as quarterback.
Yeah, I mean, firing Matt Canada, that's huge. We've seen what's happened with a lot of the teams who have fired their coordinators or their head coach. Usually have that big bump up, but the Bengals are at home, and I think people are sleeping on Jake Browning, Gilbert. I know you're not a big fan of backup quarterbacks, especially someone who we haven't seen, but you know, he's been solid through high school and then and at Washington. He was a people forget this, Gilbert. I'll give you one note here. You know who the last quarterback or the only quarterback to lead a Pac-12 team to the college football? His
Oh
college
yeah,
football
Big Brownie.
Final Four was Jake Browning of Washington. So he's been successful wherever he's been. He's been a backup. He's paid his due. I like the Bengals. Give me the Bengals in this game. I like
Wow.
that little upset there, especially at home without Joe Burrow. He still has really good weapons. You just got to get the ball to them. And I really like the Bengals here with Jake Browning.
All right. Then we got Buccaneers at Colts. Buccaneers are plus 2.5 here, and I did choose the Buccaneers and one of my pick'ems for work, so I'm gonna stick with them. I know the Colts they've kind of gotten by. They're okay, but then they only had 10 points in Germany. We'll see if Josh Downs plays, but I don't know. Like the Colts had kind of not really been on my radar. But for whatever reason, I feel like I do well when I pick the Buccaneers here. So give me the Buccaneers to win money line, and then if you want, take the 2.5 points too.
Yeah, I'm going the opposite way. I like the Colts at home. The Colts play better at home. We've seen what Shane Steichen can do with this team. The defense is a little bit underrated. I was surprised. They're 5-5, as you said. Yeah, they had to go to Germany, but they did what they needed to do and win. I like them here in this game to get to 6-5, and they're right in the playoff picture, which is crazy. Like we talked about, who would have thought that the AFC South would be have three teams. Is it? Yeah, three teams above 500. If you told me that, I would have said you're crazy. But here we are with all three of those teams above 500. If the Colts win on Sunday against the Buccaneers. All right, Gilbert. Next one is Saints at Falcons. Another terrible NFC
Yeah,
South
but
matchup.
it has like playoff implications, so we have to keep tabs on it because maybe the winner of this game wins the division, unfortunately. But Saints pretty much a pick them. Saints +1 here. They're in Atlanta. Give me the Saints. I think just because they had the best roster, like, and I think that's the only reason I like the Saints here. But I don't want any part of the Falcons. Like they lost to the Cardinals. They can't figure out a quarterback situation. They don't know how to give the ball to Drake London and Kyle Pitts. They're not well coached. The defense has been better, but the Falcons are kind of on I got to make my annoying list. Like the Falcons are definitely on my annoying list. Like I don't want to see anything of you anymore. So give me the Saints here.
Yeah, and I'm with you. I know. Oh, here we go. We got a comment here from said great in depth thinking, not like others. Out there picking the obvious
Yeah.
gentlemen. Need the donation button on here for the good
Oh,
work. Happy Thanksgiving. Yeah, we'll get that going. We'll get that donation. But
awesome.
thank you. Have a happy Thanksgiving. We appreciate you checking us out. And if you're out there, we're still taking comments. So if you want to chime in, please do. We appreciate the feedback. We're what a year and a half into all these channels, and this is the first season we're doing this. So thank you for the feedback, and we appreciate it. But getting back here, Gilbert, to our quick dump offs. As I'm surprised, Gilbert, that Arthur Smith isn't on the hot seat because this season has been really bad for him. People are tired of some of the decisions that he's made. It'll be interesting to see what happens with Arthur Blank and whether he decides to move on from him. As we found out, Arthur Smith doesn't need the money because his
Yeah.
dad owns. His dad comes from. He's got good money there. So, um, in terms of this game, I I'm with you. If Derek Carr is playing, I like the Saints in this game. I just like as you mentioned, it's just hard. Every time we decide we're gonna pick the Falcons, they lose. So maybe you know what, Gilbert, I'm gonna change it up. And just because every time I pick the Falcons, they lose and they deserve to lose, I'm gonna go with the Falcons here, just so that way they lose.
See, like for me, is I had the same situation with both teams. When I picked the Saints to win, they lose. When I picked the Falcons to win, they lose. Now they're playing each other, so I gotta pick
It's a
somebody
no-win
here.
situation here, Gilbert. We're in
Yeah,
the same predicament.
yeah,
Yeah.
but whatever. Let's move on. Spending too much time
Yeah,
on the
well,
NFC
this
stuff.
if you thought that one was bad, Gilbert, wait till the next one we're going to talk about, and it's like which of these teams wants to tank harder because they're both in the Caleb Williams sweepstakes, and that's the Patriots at the Giants.
Yeah, the Patriots are they're wow, -3.5, and they're the
I
road
don't know
team.
why, Gilbert.
Yeah. The Giants are at home. and they're plus 3.5. And that's the good point where you said the kind of the team that wants to tank is part of the storyline here. So after I saw what Tommy DeVito did to the Commanders and the Giants won, like they're trying to win. So that makes it feel like I should pick that team. And the Patriots are more on the tanking side. They're trying to fire, Bill Belichick. So I would just pick the Giants money line because also like if the Patriots were at home, I would have probably taken the Patriots at home. So it's kind of one of those games. Who's at home? But Tommy DeVito showed a fight a week ago, and this Giants defense has been solid, not the best, but Kayvon Thibodeau is always popping out doing something. So give me the Giants to win money line, and if you want to take the spread plus 3.5, they're at home.
Yeah, I told you a few weeks ago, Gilbert, I'm done picking the Patriots. I think they're in full tank mode. Like they've decided they're not gonna try and win anymore. Even with Bill Belichick, I think uh, they'll move on from each other, whatever agreement they come to. Whether they decide to trade Bill Belichick, I don't think they'll fire him. He'll either resign or they'll trade him to whatever team. I'm give me the Giants here, as you pointed out. They're at least trying for Brian Dable. We know Brian Dable is going to be there going forward. They've given him, which I don't like to hear, the vote of confidence. You never want to hear that, but they like what they've seen from Brian Dable. I mean, after all, he was the coach of the year last
Yeah.
season, so you're not moving on from him yet. But yeah, give me the Giants here as well.
All right, we got
Next one
Panthers.
is another bad one. Panthers at Titans. A matchup of two rookie quarterbacks. One that was picked at number one, and then the another one that was picked in the second round.
Yeah, it's kind of a high spread, but I think I know why. But the Titans are at home minus 3.5, and these are two bad teams, but one is just better coach. Like I rather take Mike Rabel over Frank Wright any day. The Titans are at home. Give me the Titans also to cover. Bryce Young and this Panthers offense can't score more than 13 points here. I know it's really bad for the Titans right now, but man, like it's been so bad for Frank Wright that he might be a one and done coach, and people might not even complain about it.
Yeah, and I'm with you. I mean, the Titans are better at home. They play better. Their defense plays better at home, and I know they're also trying to, they're not trying to. They're better equipped to win. And then with the whole David Tepper thing, he's gonna fire another coach. Which he can't seem to pick a coach and stick with. And so I'm with you. Give me the Titans. The next one we were gonna talk about, but we already talked about, was Rams Cardinals. We both like the Rams in this game. Whether it's plus one, minus one, whatever the line is, it keeps changing. So we're good there. We talked Chiefs at Raiders already as well. We like the Chiefs to win, but the Raiders to cover here. And then that leaves us with what is it? We have Browns at Broncos. Gilbert, what do you got here?
Yeah, this might be the most difficult game for me to pick, and another one where I took the points here. So I'm gonna be split here, but I took the points on the Browns plus 2.5. It's gonna be a really close game, but there's something about the Broncos. They're finding a way to win right now, and it's gonna be DTR versus Russell Wilson. I'll give Russell Wilson the benefit of the doubt here, and they're playing good defense. Vic, as his plane drives by here. I don't know if you can hear it, but the Broncos defense, by the way, the last three games has 12 takeaways combined. So you get takeaways and you do enough with Russell Wilson and Cortland Sutton. I think they'll find a way here. It's a very difficult defense, so that does worry me here. That's why I took the plus 2.5 points, but I don't feel good about it. But I'll take the Broncos to win.
Yeah, I like the Browns, and I know the Broncos are at home. They're much better at home, and I keep picking against the Broncos. Maybe if they beat the Browns, I'll finally jump on the Broncos bandwagon. But it doesn't matter who they put at quarterback for the Browns. They just seem to, that defense just takes over. It's a credit to James Schwartz and what he's been able to do. I think he saved Kevin Stefanski's job, to be honest with you, because I thought he was on the hot seat this season, and somebody was gonna be blamed for the Deshaun Watson trade if it didn't work out. And I did like the Browns to make the playoffs. I just really like their defense coming into the season, but Jim Schwartz has taken it to the next level, and I just think they'll be able to dominate the Broncos.
All right, we got one more. We got the
Yep,
Bears
we have our
and the
Monday
Vikings.
night game, and it's Bears at Vikings, Gilbert. You got Justin Fields coming back, and you have Joshua Dobbs playing good ball with the Vikings. Where how do you see this one?
Yeah, after the Bears had a total meltdown in the final 5 minutes of the game against the Lions, I think their confidence is gone. It was such a big game for Eberflus and Justin Fields to show something. Now, after they lost that one, it's kind of like, all right, we don't care for you for either the quarterback or the coach. So, give me the Vikings to come back and get back on track, and also give me the Vikings minus 3.5 at home.
Yeah, I like that. I like the Vikings. I like I want to see them uh use Chandler a little bit more, their that running back that they've I think he runs better. He averaged 7 yards to carry against the Broncos last week. They need to feature him. I'm done trying to watch Madison. I think he's a better back for them. And so hopefully they do that with Joshua Dobbs. Let him, run the offense. And Hawkinson has just been on a tear since Joshua, like for the even way before Cousins got hurt. Hawkinson has been on a run, and I don't know, maybe I'll have to ask you guys on rapid fire. Should the Vikings, try to involve Jefferson into the offense, or are they better without him? So, but that'll be a question for Monday. But I like the Vikings here.
Yeah, I never bought into that whole maybe they're better without Justin Jefferson. And then they lost to the Broncos. Okay, bring back Justin Jefferson. I do have him on my fantasy team. That's why I'm saying that too. But
Yeah,
yeah,
I'm with
I
you.
think the Vikings will take care of it. We'll see if he plays or not. If he doesn't, they've shown they can win without him. But shout out to
We have
you,
one.
Jesus. Happy Thanksgiving, compas. Thanksgiving, happy Thanksgiving to you too as well, Jesus.
Yeah, that thank you. It's good to hear from the people. Thank you, Jesus. But that's all I have for you, Gilbert. That takes care of quick dump offs. That covers, we preview every game on the week 12 slate, and we've also talked about and giving us our betting lines for each of the games. So you should be well covered. I hope everybody has a happy Thanksgiving. We'll be on the road driving back to LA, Gilbert, but I can't wait to be back at home this weekend to watch some of these games.
Yeah, same here. And again, happy Thanksgiving. Enjoy your time with loved ones. Enjoy the 3 games tomorrow. And maybe the Dolphins will wipe out the Jets on Friday, Black Friday, whatever you want to call it day. But yeah, this was fun breaking down the game, and I appreciate the comments here. And leave a comment if you're watching the replay. But yeah, this is a looking ahead show. We like to kind of just talk what's going to come. We talk even fantasy football. We talk bets. We talk game picks here. So yeah, hopefully we get more people that become chatty, and maybe you make some money this week, and then you come back and thank us. So it's always fun to do that. But I am ready to head out of here, Victor, and also happy Thanksgiving to you too as well.
Yeah, happy Thanksgiving. You gotta tell me, is there a certain food that you try to stay away from during Thanksgiving that you're just like, yeah, don't or a bad food take for Thanksgiving before we go?
Not really. I actually do enjoy Thanksgiving just because of the food. I like all the food, and yeah, and after that we get to Christmas, and I'm not a big fan of the Christmas music, but when it's December and the calendar is right, then I'm really into that. But I don't really have a maybe. I guess the only thing is like if you have something with olives in it, I'm gonna stay away from it. Like you have a good potato salad and you just kind of put a bunch of olives in it, maybe I'll stay away. But for the most part, I'm not really that picky.
Yeah, as long as you don't put any raisins on any of my food, I'm good.
Mm.
So, with that said, I'm ready to close this out, Gilbert. Go ahead. Happy Thanksgiving to everybody out there. Thank you for joining us. We got about 8 people, and shout out to the people who commented. That was awesome.
Yeah, that was pretty cool to see. So let's keep growing this looking ahead show here on Compas on the Beat. Support all the channels, give likes, comment, subscribe, all that. This is much appreciated. And again, enjoy the time with the loved one tomorrow, and have a good, happy Thanksgiving. But on that note, ya nos vamos, pues, vámonos.